Planet of the Enormous Hooters by Scott Gressitt. Jackie had the biggest knockers in the room, or maybe the zip code. She wore them proudly, displayed immodestly for everyone to enjoy. Or not. Observing them at close range was unsettling but unavoidable, as she'd squeeze me tightly against them every morning in the cafe. Yikes, here she comes. Oh, shit. Hello, handsome, give me a hug. Seeing how she managed them, propped them up, gusseted and strutted into a state of carefully poised strategic levitation led me to believe she must have studied engineering at some point in her past. I was impressed, but still found her scary and pathetic. Being a newcomer, I was still getting my sea legs in sobriety, and the fog was really just clearing after years of staying mildly pickled with cheap grocery store Chardonnay. I had self-medicated to the point of losing my wife, my business, my home, my car, and my way. Jackie was overly friendly, busy, and social. She always reached out to me at meetings. She would often ask me to meet her for a walk on the beach, and I would accept her offer, but ask for a rain check, as I couldn't make it today. She was relentless. I was steadfast. She was impetuous. I was resolute. She was eager. I was busy, thanks. The first time she showed up at my house, I wondered how she'd found me. She flapped her arms and waved her hands to distract me and change the subject. She'd been given the heave-ho from her apartment and was house and dog sitting for a friend of a friend who was headed out of the country on assignment with the Navy. She moved in, got settled, and he didn't leave. Moreover, he'd show up in her bedroom door at midnight in a towel and want to talk. He moved on her relentlessly, according to Jackie's story, and she had to get out. Would I please take her in? I had just finished remodeling a room behind my studio for visiting females, of which there was a steady flow. A sculptress from China, a jazz singer from New York, a painter from Budapest, dancer from Telluride, and a writer from Tangiers. Living in a house full of boys, I had to create an enclave for the softer sex with a little privacy and a bathroom with an actual door. My 6-year-old had greeted the last female visitor exuberantly with, "Welcome to the house of swingin' dicks." I don't know what I was thinking, and surprised myself when I heard the words coming out of my mouth. "Look, Jackie, my guest room is empty for the next 2 weeks. I guess you could stay here until my friend Jane, the trapeze artist, gets here from Las Vegas." "Oh, really, Scott? Would you do that for me?" "You're too much. Oh, Scotty, this'll be such fun." She had woken me at 4 in the morning, leaning over my bed with one leg slung over my torso and her tongue so far down my throat I gagged. When I asked her what the hell she was thinking, she explained that she had been coming in my room every night and kissing me in my sleep. I looked so beautiful to her that she couldn't resist. I set out new ground rules, asked her to respect my privacy, and told her I was gay, and thanks anyway. The next nocturnal episode involved full nudity and her hands like vice grips clinging tenaciously to my special purpose. That was it. I asked her to leave, and the 2 weeks had been over 3 weeks ago, and Jane was arriving on the Amtrak station on the 12:52. She wept and begged me to reconsider. When I wouldn't, she called me a lying sack and a selfish fag. How could I argue with her? I calmly ordered her out and offered her a hand packing up. She came back to the living room with a shirt on and her enormous bosoms barely covered with her crossed arms. I questioned her choices and challenged her to finish getting dressed. The next time I saw Jackie was about 5 weeks later. I had had the police remove her from my residence the previous month. She came traipsing up my driveway in jeans, a dirty sweatshirt, shoeless, and clutching a plastic grocery bag. Her face was pale, she was wide-eyed with fear, and not looking good. "Where are you coming from, Jackie, and where's your car?" She had walked the 500 yards to my house from the county jail. She proceeded to prop up the most disjointed, incoherent stack of horse feathers I've ever heard, all about being in the ER for her chronic pain, which had become unbearable, struggling with the hospital staff who were reticent to release her, having just dosed her with a major load of morphine. She added some interesting fiction, a few Mexican girls stealing her car, joyriding around her neighborhood, then totaling it in her driveway. Then changed the story to her driving and getting rear-ended in the driveway by a drunk driver who had careened off the road, then to a new and different story, but each with the same car crash ensuing. When I queried her for an explanation of her 3 days in jail, she went into another tirade about corrupt cops, a tilting universe, and the general absence of anyone honest left on the planet, except, of course, yours truly. By the way, did I have a pair of shoes she could have and $1,000 to pay the impound on her minivan? I explained politely that I was due back on the planet immediately to check the air in my tires, and that I simply had to go. Ducking into the lab, I called Monica, a girlfriend in the program, and asked her if she were up for doing a 12th step on Jackie. She reluctantly agreed and reminded me how deeply indebted I had just become to her. I wished her well, hung up, and scrounged for shoes for Jackie. I walked out to the garden and handed her a pair of size 12 men's hush puppies I had pulled out of a dumpster last winter. The next time I saw Jackie, I was walking out of a morning meeting. She was struggling to launch a shiny new Harley, and in an aborted effort laid it on its side, pinning herself to the asphalt. I froze like a deer in the headlights, then snapping to my senses ran to her aid. As she lay helplessly spread-eagled on the tarmac, legs and arms akimbo, I pulled the bike off her prone body, then reached a hand under her armpit to help her up. To my mortification, one huge boob came bursting triumphantly out of its over-engineered container, spraying a flurry of popping buttons into my reddening face. I melted into a dream state. This, Scotty, is your life. Welcome to it.